Okay. Hello, welcome to our webinar this afternoon entitled Empowering Clients with Mental Health Diagnoses, the Vital Role of Tax Preparation. My name is Kish Pisani, and I'm a project coordinator here at the National Disability Institute. And I'm going to start this out by giving some of the housekeeping. Listening to this webinar, the audio for today's meeting can be accessed using your computer audio or by calling in by phone. If you select computer audio, please make sure your speakers are turned on or your headphones are plugged in. And if you don't have sound capabilities on your computer or prefer to listen by phone, you can call this number 929-205-6099. We will have real-time captioning, and it will be provided throughout this webinar. The captions can be found by clicking on the closed caption button on your Zoom controls at the bottom of the screen. As you can see, we also have sign language interpreters for you today as well. If you'd like to submit questions, please use the Q&A box to submit any questions you have during the webinar, and we'll direct them accordingly. If your question is not answered during the webinar or you are listening by phone and not logged in, you can email me at kpisani@ndi-inc.org. We will be keeping track of all the questions. And again, if we don't get to any of them, we will be following up with you and send information out with our recording. And if you have any technical difficulties in your webinar, also please email me, kpisani@ndi-inc.org. And please note that this webinar is being recorded and you will receive an email with a YouTube link within a week. And the materials will be placed on the National Disability Institute website at the website below, which we will also put in the chat box. We'd like to thank our sponsor or our funder for this important webinar. It is hosted with support by Share Our Strength, and we will also give you their website link. So we have a quick poll. We'd just like to get a basic idea of who's here. When you registered, you had many selections, but we're asking you for the purpose of this poll just to select your primary affiliation. And then our second question is, do you know about VITA services? So we will launch that. Hope, are you able to launch that?
Yes, one sec.
Okay. So, and if you don't know what VITA services are, that's okay. That's the purpose of this. So don't hesitate if you don't know what it is to indicate that you're not sure. So here's our pre-webinar poll. I'm attending primarily as an individual with a disability, a mental health or disability provider, a tax professional, a financial education professional, or a family member, supporter, or other. And then the second question is, how familiar are you with VITA services? And if you're very familiar, somewhat familiar, or you have no idea what VITA means, please let us know. Thank you. How's it looking? Okay. Next, I have the pleasure of introducing you to our presentation, our presenter today, and our colleague here at National Disability Institute. Michael Rausch is the director of the Center for Disability Inclusive Community Development at National Disability Institute, and he serves as a subject matter expert on financial capability strategies for persons with disabilities. He provides training and technical assistance across the country on volunteer income tax assistance, which is VITA, financial education, financial coaching and counseling, and other asset development strategies to empower individuals, organizations, and other stakeholders on the importance of economic self-sufficiency for persons with disabilities. Michael has trained thousands of individuals on how to integrate the curriculums into their organization's delivery of service. He's also an accredited financial counselor and a community partner work incentives counselor. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Michael.
Hi, everyone. Great. I'm so glad to be with you all today. And thank you so much for spending your afternoon with us on this important topic of empowering clients with mental health diagnoses and really understanding the vital role of free tax preparation services. Before we get started, in case you're new to our webinars, I just want to share with you a little bit about the National Disability Institute. So the National Disability Institute, we are a national nonprofit dedicated to building a better financial future for individuals with disabilities and their families. We also are the first national organization committed exclusively to championing economic empowerment, financial education, asset development, and financial stability for all persons with disabilities. At the National Disability Institute, we affect change through public education, policy development, training, technical assistance, and innovative initiatives. Please visit nationaldisabilityinstitute.org to learn more about the National Disability Institute. So today in our time together, we are going to share a brief overview on the importance and challenges of financial empowerment for individuals with mental health diagnoses. We're also going to talk about the benefits of free tax preparation service. We're going to share with you case examples and success stories. And of course, most importantly, we're going to give you some resources and tools. Before we move on, though, I do want to shed a little bit more light on the importance of this topic. You know, financial wellness plays an important role on our mental health, particularly for those of us who have a mental health diagnosis or those that we might serve with a mental health diagnosis. I would like to note that today's webinar is intended for mental health practitioners, case managers, and other service professionals, as well as individuals with disabilities and others who are new to understanding free tax preparation services. This, of course, is a topic that's near to me personally and professionally as an individual with a mental health diagnosis, a mental health practitioner, a VITA volunteer, and financial empowerment advocate. This topic is all of the core topics that I'm excited to talk about with you today and to share with you even more. It's also a very timely topic. It's very timely because we're in the final stretch of tax season this year, and so an important piece for us to start to make sure that we have shared with all those that we work with. We'll also share with you at the end some case examples of community mental health providers who have integrated financial or VITA free tax preparation services within their delivery of services. And wait until you hear some of the outcomes and some of those stories on those best practices. So we will be able to shed some light on that. One thing that I do want to share before we get started as well is that we are going to spend a bit of time on defining terms and setting a foundation. For many of you, free tax preparation services, tax season, favorable tax credits, this might be a new topic. So we're going to spend some time really defining some terms. We're also going to spend some time for those of you who might be from the financial service sector or financial education community. I think there's a large percentage of individuals who are identified as financial educators. So we're going to spend some time talking about mental health as well, and also talking about the impact and the importance of financial wellness and how financial wellness impacts some of our financial decisions. So next slide, please. So to get us started, let's first define a couple terms here. So what I'm going to do is talk a little bit about our basic psychosocial needs. So when you think of the term psychosocial, we're relating to the interrelation or the relation between our social factors and individuals. Our individuals, our thoughts, and our behaviors. And there's a variety of psychosocial needs, but I'm going to look at three particularly for this webinar. And the three that I want us to look at are focusing on inclusion in a group, meaningful work and activity, and maintaining self-esteem. These are three important factors for us into maintaining a positive or positive aspect to our psychosocial needs. When we do focus on these, we might feel good, we might feel more energetic, and we might feel good just overall. When we are feeling included in a group, when we do have that meaningful work or activity that we're doing, whatever it could be a hobby, it could be a thing that you go to work each day in. And of course, maintaining our self-esteem and where we feel good about ourselves. Hold on just a minute as I'm getting a chat and there we go. Hold on just a minute. Okay. The screen was going down there for a minute, so sorry for that technical difficulty for just a moment. I can't see the screen, but that's okay. I am just gonna get back to my printed copy here. But what I was saying about maintaining our, or looking at our basic psychosocial needs, there's also another key aspect to looking at these three aspects, our basic psychosocial needs, is at times we might need resources for one of them, or one of those meaningful work might produce the wages or the resources that we do need. So it's important for us as practitioners to understand what basic psychosocial needs are, and these today are three that we will just look at in this example. Next, let's look at the definition of financial wellness. So financial wellness is having financial security and freedom of choice in the present as well as in future. What does that mean? It basically means that when we can pay our daily expenses, when we can save for the future, and when we can survive a financial shock is, I live in the state of Florida, and I always give the example that if my air conditioning goes out, I hope it doesn't, but that could be a financial shock because in the state of Florida, we need air conditioning. And so if I had to get a new HVAC system, a new air conditioning unit, then that could be a financial shock. So financial wellness is really looking at, can pay my daily expenses, save for the future, and I can survive a financial shock. As we work with individuals with mental health diagnoses, it's important that we keep in mind that our basic psychosocial needs, as well as the definition, the three factors of financial wellness, and it's important for us to know where an individual might be on their journey towards financial wellness. If there is a bump in one of these aspects of each of these definitions, it could impact one's mental health, particularly if an individual does have a mental health diagnosis. So really an important piece for us to keep in mind as we do go through this and talking about one of those aspects that could really be beneficial to us in looking at our basic psychosocial needs as well as in our financial wellness is the role that free tax preparation services and favorable tax credit plays by potentially me getting a tax refund or by me potentially saving money from having my taxes done, because it could create an opportunity where I might be able to participate in activities with my friends, be included in a group. It could be that I can do a fun activity that I want to do, but also helps to maintain my self-esteem. Next slide, please. So why is this important? And what are the challenges that we know when it comes to mental health related to our financial wellness? So on the next couple of slides, I have some examples, some various research and data points to share with you that I think are really important for us to reflect on as we look at this topic. So it's also important when we are working with individuals who have a mental health diagnosis that we're providing counseling to, or we might serve as a case manager to, that individuals feeling low or depressed may be unmotivated to manage our finances. I think if there's an opportunity where, or a situation that you may have been in where you were not motivated to do an activity, for an individual who might be feeling low or depressed, it could be exacerbated even more due to their mental health diagnoses and not be motivated to manage those finances. We have other webinars that have talked about some of the various resources and tools to help motivate individuals with mental health diagnoses and some of those great tools. And so please check out our website for some of those webinars as well. We also know that there could be times of impulsive financial decisions when experiencing mania or hypomania. And what is mania or hypomania? It's that overwhelming sensation or feeling of excitement or euphoria that an individual might have. And we have situations, an individual with a mental health diagnosis has a situation like that. There might be some impulsive financial decisions or might be an impulsive shopping that an individual might do. I do want to make the disclaimer that, that it's not saying that all individuals with a mental health diagnosis make impulsive financial decisions or that all experience mania. I'm an individual with obsessive compulsive personality. So my case, sometimes that might cause me to be overly manage my finances, or it could be opportunities where I'm so overwhelmed that I am also unmotivated to manage my finances. But I share that as an example that no two individuals are alike when it comes to their mental health diagnoses and in their financial situation. These are just giving some broad examples. Also, mental health may affect our ability to work, which may reduce our income. That's why, again, the various favorable tax credits are really important for us to look at. Should our mental health pay affect our ability to work at a reduced amount? Higher financial worries were significantly associated with higher psychological distress. And in addition to poverty, financial debt and loans are significantly associated with increased psychological distress and poor mental health status. So many years ago, as I was starting my career and doing my hours as a mental health professional, early on, I recognized that as I was working with individuals through the Glenner Family Centers in California, that for individuals that were experiencing psychological distress or had a mental health diagnosis, that oftentimes we needed to provide, or we did provide, financial education. And we were able to look at those financial situations that exacerbated their mental health diagnoses, where when we did provide financial health, financial education, we did see a decrease in the need for mental health services at that time. So saw firsthand the impact that financial debt and loans have that can exacerbate or can lead to feeling more distress in managing one's mental health diagnoses. Next slide, please. Stress is a big threat to both our mental health and our financial well-being. As I just mentioned, stress clouds our judgment and can lead to impulsive decisions, regardless if an individual is experiencing mania, which I described on the previous slide. And there's also various research that shows the link between mental health and financial health, and that they're more connected than what folks might think. I think that's really an important piece to really look at, and looking at the impact of our financial health on our mental health. And in a survey that was out last year by CreditWise survey, it identified that worries about finances came in as the #1 stressor that individuals experience. The American Psychological Association also has a wonderful survey that they put out regarding money and stress, and that also has a lot of additional insight and direction. So again, we just wanted to share a little bit about understanding the impact of, or understanding the challenges that an individual with a mental health diagnosis might have when it comes to managing money, or particularly looking at their finances. So as we look at that, and now that we have an understanding and understanding also the definition of financial wellness, let's spend some time to define what tax preparation is and what it is, as well as favorable tax credits. Next slide, please. So free tax preparation services. So some of you mentioned that you're very new to understanding free tax preparation services, and so I'm glad you're here today. And so the one example we put here for free tax preparation services is VITA. VITA, Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program. VITA programs offer free tax help to individuals, to people who generally make $64,000 or less, persons with disabilities, the elderly, and limited English-speaking taxpayers who need assistance in preparing their own tax returns. IRS certified volunteers provide free basic income tax return preparation with electronic filing to qualified individuals. If you have not accessed or been to a VITA site in your area, we provided a link here to the IRS website that you can go to identify the VITA site in your area. Now, some VITA sites, volunteer income tax assistance sites, they have might say that they do $66,000 or less. Some say $74,000 or less. The reason being is they might offer another free tax preparation services at that location, like My Free Taxes, IRS Free File, or other tax services, free tax preparation services. So that's an important piece to keep in mind. But wanted to define what free tax preparation services in this case. Next slide, please. So what are the benefits of free tax preparation services? Of course, I'm a VITA volunteer, so I think it's so beneficial, but I put some bullet points here anyway, to hopefully, if you haven't visited a VITA site, to check it out. First of all, the free tax preparation services, as well as the Earned Income Tax Credit, is the most effective anti-poverty campaign set up by the federal government. And wait till the end whenever I share with you some case examples, and you're going to really see how free tax preparation services, the child tax credit, and the Earned Income Tax Credit made a huge impact for a community mental health provider agency. Access to tax credits and deductions that can provide financial relief, extremely important for us to look at and think about. in the state of Missouri. It's a great fortune to work with the state of Missouri's Department of Mental Health. I think a couple of folks are from mental health agencies there are on the webinar today. But we've been able to see firsthand how agencies, mental health professionals have learned about tax credits and deductions, and then have been able to incorporate it into their delivery of services. The other benefit of free tax preparation services and using a VITA volunteer or VITA program is that there's assistance by the volunteers in assisting navigating complex tax laws and requirements. The other thing of benefits of free tax preparation services is it's in the name, free, free, free. These services are free, right? So I think that's really an important thing to know. The average cost for someone to use a paid tax preparer is anywhere from $240 to $300 for a tax return. So to note that automatically, I'm going to save between $240 to $300 is a huge savings for individuals on a limited income. The last thing I want to say about the benefits is that they're trained volunteers that are certified by the Internal Revenue Service. If you are interested in becoming a VITA volunteer for the next tax season, please feel free to reach out. Have Hope or Kish put in our email at ask@ndi-inc.org, where if you want to become trained as a VITA volunteer, you can do that, and we can connect you with the coalition in your area. But really an important piece. All right, next slide. So here we go. This is a fun part, and that is talking about favorable tax credits for taxpayers with disabilities. There's a variety of tax credits that individuals can access, right? And we're going to highlight about the Earned Income Tax Credit, the Child Tax Credit, Child and Dependent Care Credit, and the Savers Credit. As I mentioned, the Earned Income Tax Credit is the most effective anti-poverty campaign set up by the federal government. And the other is the Child Tax Credit. You may have heard a lot about the Child Tax Credit over the past few years, where we had the Advanced Tax Credit, where families were able to get their an increase in the Child Tax Credit. Child and Dependent Care Credit oftentimes gets confused with the Child Tax Credit. And then we have the Savers Credit. And the Savers Credit is really an important credit for the disability community as well, because it is a credit for individuals who are making contributions to their retirement account, employer-sponsored retirement account, but also to an ABLE account, Achieving Better Life Experience account. And so that's really important to keep in mind, is that piece that we have the Savers Credit as well. All right. So I want to go to the next slide, and I want to spend a moment on this because these are some questions that came in before, and understanding, as we talk about favorable tax credits, is understanding the difference between a tax deduction and a tax credit. So it's important for us to know that a tax deduction lowers your taxable income, which is the basis for computing your tax liability. Your tax liability is that amount that you might owe, right? So example, if you have a $1,000 tax deduction, let's say from home mortgage interest, and you're in a 10% tax bracket, then the $1,000 deduction saves you $100 in taxes. Tax credits, okay, this is what's really important, provides a dollar-for-dollar reduction in the total amount of taxes you owe, all right? Credits can be non-refundable, meaning the IRS can reduce your tax liability to zero, but does not pay you the remainder in the form of a refund. Or the credits can be refundable. And you're going to see another slide that's going to explain this. But the refundable. So the refundable means that if my credit reduces my tax liability, money that I owe or I have that needs to be taxed on, to zero, and that $100, let's say, then that means the remaining credit would be paid to me as a tax refund. So that's why individuals who claim the earned income tax credit and why it's so important for people with disabilities to access the earned income tax credit, it's because that is a refundable credit, all right? It reduces my tax liability. If it takes my tax liability to zero, then it will, whatever is remaining out of that will be a tax refund that I get. Okay. All right, next slide, please. So, I've already gone into this, but here we put it into two columns for you to help with explaining it too. So a tax credit, a refundable tax credit, a tax credit that can lower a taxpayer's tax liability regardless of the amount of their liability. If a refundable credit exceeds the amount of taxes owed, the difference is paid as a refund. Non-refundable is that it just takes the tax credit can reduce the taxpayer's liability down to zero. And if it exceeds the amount, then the amount excess is lost. You don't get that. So those are two important pieces. Next slide, please. So here, let's look at some examples of refundable tax credit and non-refundable tax credit. Refundable is the earned income tax credit. An important tax credit to be able to look at. Child tax credit, partially refundable up to a certain amount. The American Opportunity Tax Credit, education credit, partially refundable. The premium tax credit is what? The health credit, or health care. When we purchase our health care, so the premium tax credit. Non-refundable tax credit, the child independent care credit, education credits like the lifetime learning credit, residential energy credits. Again, a non-refundable credit are still good credits because they're going to decrease the amount that I might have, my tax liability. So let's say my tax liability is $2,000 and I have each of these three credits and takes it down to zero, then there's nothing that I owe. All right. Really an important piece. Okay, here's what I want to do. I'm going to spend a few minutes on the earned income tax credit because it's really an important one that we have found that mental health agencies really are interested in. So next slide, please. So the earned income tax credit. So the earned income tax credit is a tax benefit for working individuals who have earned income within certain income limits. What were the key words that I said here? Working individuals who earned income. So if an individual does not have earned income, then the earned income tax credit is different. Okay? So that's really an important piece. So it's also a myth oftentimes that people think that a taxpayer who does not have children, that they do not qualify for the earned income tax credit. And that is not true. Taxpayers do not have to have children to qualify for the earned income tax credit. Of course, for people who have children, the amounts are higher that they can take, right, for taxpayers with children. It's important to note that the age limit for a qualifying child is waived if the child is permanently and totally disabled, all right? Oftentimes, individuals with disabilities do not claim the earned income tax credit due to the idea that they think that they're not eligible or that it will impact their eligibility for public benefits. Next slide, please. So here's some basic requirements to keep in mind. Again, you have to have earned income. If you're working with an individual and they have no earned income, not a tax credit for them or nothing that you want you'll need to share, right? Or you can share it. But if they've worked over the past couple of years and they may not be working right now, you still want to talk about them because they could do a retroactive tax return. But the basic requirements are that they've earned income below income thresholds. They have to have a valid Social Security number. Have to be between the ages of 25 to 64, be a U.S. citizen or resident alien the entire tax year. So it's really an important piece as well. Perfect. Next slide, please. So I want to share with you some items about keep in mind when it comes to free tax preparation services. And if we are in a community where we are working with individuals with mental health diagnoses who might be receiving a public benefit. If an individual receives a needs-based benefit, like supplemental security income or Medicaid, federal tax refunds do not count as earned income. As a result, it does not impact eligibility for SSI or other federally funded benefits. Federal tax refunds do not count as a resource for a period of 12 months after the receipt for SSI and any federally funded benefit. All right? It's really important for us to keep that in mind as we look at this. But here's something I want you to share. I'm seeing some questions come in and some chats about different states. So here's the thing, is that if I live in a state that offers a state refund, state tax refund, those pieces, these rules do not apply. That state refund could impact my SSI and or my Medicaid, so you've got to check with the state-specific rules. We do hope that with the SSI Restoration Act, it does state in there, and it's one of the components, that it would have states with tax refunds follow the federal rule that an individual would have 12 months to spend that money down without it impacting their eligibility. So it's important to know, if you live in a state where you might get a state refund, is to have to look at how that impacts your Medicaid, but also how that impacts your SSI. But for a federal tax refund, you have 12 months to spend that money down. It's also important to note that if you've not filed taxes in the past 3 years, you can do a retroactive tax return and potentially be eligible for tax credits during previous tax seasons and not claimed before. Wait till you hear the example I'm going to give you in a moment. Next slide, please. In a nutshell, as we talked about our psychosocial needs, inclusion in a group, meaningful work, maintaining self-esteem, also in looking at how our stress exacerbates our mental health diagnoses. It's important that we file a tax return if you have earned income. It is important in case you are eligible for a tax refund. because if you are eligible for a tax refund, then that would be money that is in your pocket that you're potentially eligible to decrease those stressors that might exacerbate our mental health diagnoses by using that refund to pay down debt or to purchase a vehicle because transportation is so hard. You know, I have had families that I've worked with where families have said, I just want to make sure I get a refund to have food on the table for my child. Decreases the stress, right, by having that. So it's important to file a tax return. Accessing free tax preparation services and favorable tax credits can potentially increase money in your pocket. Tax refunds can be saved in an ABLE account. Filing your taxes assists in protecting your identity by assuring that no one else is using your Social Security number during tax time. And tax time is a great way to begin to build your financial health. So all a variety of reasons. Next slide. So as mental health professionals, as case managers, what can we do? Even looking at financial educators on the call, share the information. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. I can't tell you, out of all the people I've trained and going through these, doing different events and hearing the story of folks who said, I never knew or thought to incorporate free tax preparation services within my mental health counseling services or within my peer mentoring program or within my case management services. And so then they incorporate it. So that's an important way. Eliminate myths. Eliminate the myths regarding benefits, the impact on benefits, and really guide individuals to free tax preparation sites where they can access individuals who are trained, volunteers, and certified by the Internal Revenue Service to be able to provide that service. The next two slides, I wanted to share with you a couple of case examples, and then we're going to go to resources, and then you will have access to the slide presentation in a week, and it will be on our website, and so you'll have access to the resources and things like that. But here's a couple of case examples. So one that was shared with us by one of our partners is they shared that a clubhouse has a weekly employment and educational meeting, which is about an hour long every Wednesday morning. And for the past 3 Januaries, VITA and especially the EITC are shared since they have a culture of employment and helping with people with disabilities go back to work. They also make sure that they're just disseminating the information to all of our staff who are working with members going back to work, which include links to local VITA providers, which there are many in this particular city. And they have one member who asked for help setting up an appointment the first year and now comes to me every year to share that he is making his appointments independently, which is my very, very favorite thing ever. Simple piece, incorporate this into the clubhouse model, include this into job clubs, include this into peer mentoring sessions, you know, just a variety of ways that we can share information on free tax preparation services. Next slide. So here's an example, happened in a state that we were working in. During the CTC expansion and stimulus outreach efforts, a community mental health provider attended a training on financial wellness for clients with mental health diagnoses that we did. The staff learned about VITA and free tax preparation services and incorporated a new question on their intake form about taxes. They did take the question that NDI uses on our financial health assessment. And that particular question is, have you filed your taxes in the last 3 years? And so they incorporated that question. Are you ready for this? They identified that 300 individuals that they work within this large community health provider had not accessed the stimulus payments, the child tax credit, the earned income tax credit, and many had not filed taxes for the past 3 years. The agency partnered as they learned about this from the training about VITA and created a relationship, the agency partnered with Free Tax Preparation Services to have individuals file their taxes. The cumulative total of tax refunds were $3 million. Can I say that again? The cumulative total of tax refunds were nearly $3 million. The agency shared that they saw a decrease in mental health services as the refunds were received. So as this happened, now one of the things that they're looking at is, well, no, this year, because this will be the second year, but as they're incorporating it again, are they also seeing this decrease in the need of mental health services as the refunds are received? Why might that be? Hypothesis, just what I shared at the beginning. Hypothetically, we're thinking, why? Because individuals have decreased their stress because they have access to the tax refunds that they may not have had access to in the past, and so seeing that aspect of it. This is a substantial opportunity, and why we chose to do this webinar is we still have a lot of work to do to educate community mental health providers on the impact, the positive impact that pre-tax preparation services has. If you are a mental health agency and interested in having a conversation further about what that might look like, please send me an email. And we'd love to speak with you further and connect you with other partners who are researching and looking at this further as well. Next slide, please. All right, so I know we have 10 minutes left, and I see that there's a lot of questions as well. We put a lot of resources in the slides that we want to make sure you get to leave with. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I want you to go to national-wellness/taxes/. Now, basically what you're going to do is you're going to go to nationaldisabilityinstitute.org. When you go to nationaldisabilityinstitute.org, the top of the menu, you're going to see a piece that says our work, right? And you're going to go to that, and you are going to financial wellness is the first box up there, first time. So then you're going to go and then you will scroll down and go to taxes. And here you have a screenshot on this page that shows you what it will look like. Taxes and tax preparation services. You are going to find a variety of resources and tools to go. Next slide, please. Here you can put if you're a job seeker or a person with a disability, and it will take you to specific resources. Next slide, please. Here I wanted to share that there's a lot of shareable materials. So as a mental health professional, practitioner, case manager, you can go to this website, and there's different links here that will take you to like myfreetaxes.com, the Get It Back campaign, where you can download a lot of free promotional materials. It takes you to the IRS social media website. So anything that you might need, this is where you can go to. All right, so check that out. Next slide, please. We also have some promotional materials. These have been shared with individuals with disabilities of what is the key information that individuals need to know about pre-tax preparation services. And so these are promotional materials and also done in Spanish. And you can also add your logo to the materials in the little checkered box that's in the right-hand side as well. Next slide, please. So the last thing I want to leave you with before we go to Q&A is please check out the quick reference guides, and they're in Spanish too. These were created we create these on a regular basis, but many years ago, we were talking with various case managers, mental health professionals, of like, what is it that you need to be able to do your work? And folks said if we had quick reference guides or quick 2-page documents that we can give people. So when you go to our website, the quick reference guide pages, there's questions that we often hear as professionals or as providers. Like an individual might come in my office and say, I can't afford to pay my taxes or I can't afford to file my taxes. So you look for those statements that individuals oftentimes say, and most likely you're going to find a quick reference guide that you can access and go to. Then all you got to do is download it. It's free. Give it to them and give them some general information, some additional links to go even further. We also have some on ABLE accounts and tax time as well. So please be sure to check those out. The additional links that we have here or slides, we have some additional resources, social media posts. We also have some resources from the Internal Revenue Service, some links that you can access, and that goes into more details on favorable tax credits, as well as the Internal Revenue Service has some videos in ASL. So please check those out as well. We have the link here that provides where you can find, next slide, please. The free tax preparation site in your area. So you can check that out. Next slide. Here's some additional resources that were shared by the NDI technical assistance staff. And then next slide, please. So, you know, April is Financial Literacy Month, also known as National Financial Capability Month. So at the National Disability Institute, our theme this year for April will be Safe, Smart, and Stress Less. So be sure to check out our various social media channels where you are going to learn some more tips and some data points, but also if you have a good story about how you are saving smart and stressing less, I hope you send us an email at ask@ndi-inc.org and please share that. Next slide. Actually, don't send it to that email address. I'm sorry. I didn't realize this. Do you have a story to share? Have you worked with a client who had a successful tax story? Yes, if you have one, or if you personally use free tax service and have a story, please email Kish Pasani, our colleague, and if you met at the beginning at the top of the hour, and please share with her those stories. We hope you will reach out and share those stories that we can share with others as well. Because again, when we have the stories to share with others, knowledge is power. Here's our contact information if you have anything you would like to reach out to us about. All right. So that's what I got to share with you on the importance of empowering individuals we work with, on the importance of free tax preparation services. We have about 4 weeks left in tax season. And so it's really an important time where individuals might be coming in and saying, what do? I haven't found my taxes and things like that. And so now you're going to be armed with the resources and tools to be able to share that. So with that, I think we have some questions that have come in. So I'll have Kish come back on and share some questions that have come on, and we'll see which ones we can answer. Thank you, Kish.
Oh, you're welcome. Great information. I forgot to say at the beginning that I am also a parent of an adult with dual diagnoses. And so this is all information that I use on a daily basis. And I myself have stories about how much we did not realize what sort of favorable tax credits he could be taking himself. So I encourage you to really take a close look at that. So we do have a question from my son makes less than $12,000 a year. We file his taxes through TurboTax and it costs $56 for the software download. It gives us the federal 1040 and the New York State forms for auto submittals. Does VITA do both for free, and or does it have a self-service tool? And related to that question, we also had somebody who was concerned about using VITA services because they have to leave their documents there and they don't want their social security number potentially compromised. So I know we've addressed that in the past. If you want to address it here, Michael. Because Michael
Great.
is a FICA volunteer himself.
I am. Yes. So this is really a great question. And so to the question about the software, so, you can also go to IRS Free File and go to the IRS website, and it will also show you various, and we can put the link in the chat box, but it will take you also to other ways that you can file your taxes with the Internal Revenue Service directly. And in the state of New York, I think you mentioned the person's from New York, they currently have a direct file pilot going on, but we will put the IRS Free File website in the chat box that you can go to. So does VITA do both for free? If you went to New York, yes, they would do both the federal and the state tax return for free. You can also go to myfreetaxes.com is another resource to go to. I thank you so much for asking that question about the other free file sites as well.
Okay, I think I stopped sharing. Were you seeing my? Okay, another person says, I work with an individual that filed his taxes and is only getting $11 back. My question is, now that this person has this information, can he refile to see if if anything was missed? And on that, is it too late to also go retroactively for any of the stimulus payments?
Oh my God. Listen, I just want you to know, everybody who's asking these questions are making my day. Like, I just enjoy tax questions. If I wasn't at the National Disability Institute, I'd be an accountant maybe, because I love taxes. So Nora, I see your name's Nora. Nora, I would encourage you to take the individual to a VITA site in your area. Because if they have not claimed any of the various tax credits in the past up to 3 years, they could do a retroactive tax return where they could go back for those 3 years to be able to look at those tax credits. And the thing is, sometimes when we use a paid tax preparer or we use some of these other softwares, it asks us certain questions that we may not be familiar with about those questions, right? And to see if I am eligible for tax credits. And so what's really cool about going to a VITA site or using like myfreetaxes.com or some of these other free file sites is that they really help you look to see at every single tax credit that you could be potentially eligible for. And we want to make sure that the individual does that. So yes, they can do a retroactive tax return.
That's a great question. And we actually did have a paid tax preparer who did not take into account the EITC for our son, and we went back and retroactively did it. So it's really important. Amy asked, we have only one VITA site within 50 miles of our area, and it's actually in a different state. Do some of these sites do virtual so people in my area can access help?
Yes, Amy. So I need to look up this zip code to see what state that might be. It's in to look at some of the other free file services. What state that may be? Let's just look this up. Tennessee, it looks like. Okay, so Amy, if you could send us an email at ask@ndi-inc.org, and I will pull up to look to see if there are, because I see we're at the top of the hour, if there aren't. But what you can do is you can go to IRS Free File, but you can also go to myfreetaxes.com, myfreetaxes.com, and that is another way you can look at that. Great question to be able to look at. So I know we have some more questions, and we're at the top of the hour. What I'm going to do is just really quickly, if you want to stay on and ask the question, we'll give 2 more minutes here. If our interpreters can stay on for 2 more minutes really quickly, does VITA provide insight on what necessary documents are needed to complete taxes? Thank you, Kevin, for asking that question. In the resources that you go to NDI's website that we shared, and it will share with you the documents to prepare and to get ready when you go to the VITA site. So be sure to go there to check out. You'll need your Social Security card, you'll need a picture ID, and all tax-related documents. If you have your previous year tax return, that's great, but if you don't, then that's it. The key thing is you got to have your Social Security card, and everybody that's going to be on your tax returns, if you got children, a spouse, you got to make sure you have that. And you do need to have a picture, a government-issued picture ID, very important. But you can check out those links as well. And there's also a question about Special Needs Trust and ABLE, and it's where distributions qualify from ABLE and special needs accounts. So some of those are out of scope for a VITA site. So that would be out of scope, but you could check with the VITA volunteer or the VITA site before you go to find out if they are able to address that. All right, if there's any other questions that we haven't addressed, we will save the chat and put your email in, and then we will make sure to have someone follow up with you. I want to say thank you so much to Share Our Strengths for supporting this and the importance of free tax preparation services and favorable tax credit, and being a leader in recognizing the importance of getting this information out to the disability community. I want to say thank you to my colleagues, Kish Basani, Hope Price, our interpreters, and everyone else who helped us to put this webinar together. With that, I hope everybody has a wonderful day, and I'm so grateful you spent the afternoon with us. Thank you.